Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be wrapping up the month of October. Let's see if I say September at any point in this video, because every time I try to say October wrap up, I end up saying September. I don't know why. So yeah, let's get that show on the road. I read 17 books this month, which just feels insane. I do read a lot in this month, but like my life has gotten a lot busier this month, so it really just like kind of flabbergasted me that I was able to get 17 books in somehow. Audiobooks definitely help, because the books, format wise, I've got physical books, I've got audiobooks, and I've got Kindle books all this month, because I have a stocking job as one of my jobs, so it's really easy to just have a headphone and have a book rolling and hanging out with me. So I've definitely got a couple in there, and that definitely helped that number. So I've got Goodreads up here, on my phone. That's going to help me along the way, because since a lot of them were Kindle books and audiobooks, I don't obviously have a physical representation to remember everybody. So it looks like the first thing, I started it at the very end of September and rolled into the beginning of October, was Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. Oh my goodness. So I'm not really much of a regular fiction girly, okay? I don't really do regular fiction, but this book's been making its rounds all throughout Book Talk and BookTube, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's give it a whirl. Worst case scenario, what? I DNF because I don't like it? Exactly. You never know if you like something new until you try it. And oh my goodness, I fell in love with this book. I do think it was like slightly slow at the very beginning, but like almost every book is. It's like, it's set up, it's world building. But this was wow. This was so great. It's a tale about two sisters during World War II in, what is it, occupied France? Yeah. So when Germany took over France, and it was them living two completely different lives, but at the same time doing the same thing. They both end up working against Germany, but in different ways. One of them like being a spy and sneaking out American soldiers and British soldiers across the border to get them home, while the other one helped Jewish children hide so they weren't sent to the camps and eventually killed. And so both of them in their own ways is fighting back, and like both sisters are so different but yet so similar, and I love it. It's just, it was such an emotional adventure, an emotional journey, and like throughout, like at certain points in the book, you're gonna get like a single small chapter flashing forward to the present day, or the present day I think is like 1995. So what is the present day for here? And like it has you guessing like which sister is the old woman, like what happened to them, and like I did not predict it at all. I was blown away, and it was just, it's an emotional journey, and I think anybody can enjoy it. History buffs, sisters, girls, fictional people. There's even like some romance plot in there. Obviously it's not the main takeaway, but it's in there to show that love, does show up in all scenarios. So I really, really enjoyed this. I do believe I gave it a 5-star. I gave it a 5-star. Let's put her over here. She can get her rating. Get her rating up there. This was phenomenal, and there was definitely, it looked like a human shaped shadow that walked past my window. Spooky vibes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, anyway, definitely recommend this. Next up, it looks like I had an audiobook. So I listened to Wuthering Heights at work. I gave it a 4-star. So I picked the audiobook because I tried to read this many times when I was younger. I was a big fan of romantic classics when I was younger, like high school. So, but every time I tried to read Wuthering Heights, I would get confused because it does kind of jump around a little bit time-wise. And so I would always just get so confused, like, where am I? Who am I? What are we doing? Amazon had a free audiobook of it with its Amazon Classic Kindle edition. And so I listened to that at work, and it made so much more sense. I don't know if it's because I'm older or just because I heard it and I heard different voices, but it made so much sense. So I gave it a 4-star. It definitely wasn't quite as like romantic as some of like Jane Austen's are, so like it kind of knocked a star for just kind of being like didn't quite live up to the others. But it was still a really good classic. I really like that. I think actually a lot of the audiobooks this month have been classics because they're free and they're fun to listen to, honestly. Next we had I guess I'll put a photo of it. I'll try to. Anyway, we'll have the Housemaid trilogy. So I did read The Housemaid. Put her up there with her rating. She got a 4-star. I remember liking this book, but I also remember feeling it was so very basic, which it makes sense because from what I understood, the Housemaid trilogy is supposed to be like intro level for thrillers. So if you're just getting into the thriller genre, Frida McFadden's The Housemaid trilogy is where you should be at. So I docked it a star just for that because it was very plain simplistic plot-wise, but it was still really fun. Essentially, it's the housemaid's got a history of violence due to protecting a friend. And in the present day, she essentially puts her skills to use and helps somebody out in another sticky situation. But originally she started out as her housemaid just to earn some money. And each book is essentially a different scenario, but a little different, where essentially she is trying to help. Like she's a housemaid, except for the last one. It's her neighbor is the problem child, who has a housemaid who does come over, and it's kind of funny. I'll get to the third one in a second. So then we have the second one. Boom. She also got a 4-star. So in this one, she is once again a housemaid, but it's like a couple years later. You didn't even have to read the first one either, because each book vaguely references to the other ones, but it gives you enough that you wouldn't have had to read it. And this one is very similar in the fact that she's a housemaid for somebody who's in a sticky situation, and she has to help them get out of that sticky situation. But it's a little bit different because who was the bad guy in the first one was not the bad guy in the second one, so it was like I'm trying not to spoil either, so that's just why I'm super vague with my descriptions. Because obviously the thrillers, if you spoil, it's like game over. That is the book. Boom. All done. No more. So, but the bad guy, quote unquote, in the first book is not the quote unquote bad guy in the second book, but it wants you to think it is. So it's a little different in that way. But again, it was still very simplistic. It was fast to read, but it really, I had no problem putting it down. Once I hit 50%, I tried to read it in like 2 days, I think each of them. I'd get to 50% and stop. I had no qualms putting that book down at 50% and walking away. While some other books, I'm like, go, keep going. I would 100% put that book back down. Then we have the third book. I gave that one a 5-star. That one was really good. Because that one, she wasn't a housemaid. She had a housemaid, and she was like starting to do things that like nitpick and like be mean and be judgmental and suspicious, like people used to do to her when she was a housemaid. And so it's a really interesting twist to see her be like, I wonder what this, like if this is what it felt like for the people that I was the housemaid for. Because now she gets it. And then we also get to see her like family life, her with her husband Enzo, and her thinking like he might be cheating on her. So we have like that whole plot line, which was super fun and super interesting. And yeah, it was so much more different from the other ones that it was very refreshing, very nice. So I enjoyed that one a lot more than the other two. So yeah, boom, I don't know, boom. Give it a rating 5 stars. Then I listened to, I got 2 audiobooks now, back to back. Obviously I was listening to them at work though at the same time I was reading some of these books. I'm just going off the order on my Goodreads read because so many books. Okay, I listened to The Phantom of the Opera. I was very intrigued about this because I'm a fan of the film, which obviously was also a Broadway play, which I haven't seen, like, I haven't even seen like it recorded or anything. I'm a big fan of the film. So I was like, ooh, let's listen to the classic, what it's based off of. I gave her a 3. Boom. Put her over there. I gave her a 3. I was not a fan. I'm actually having a very similar issue with Dracula, so we'll get there too later. But it's like, it's being told from like almost like an outside perspective. Essentially, it's someone telling this story of the Phantom and the Opera, and I do believe it's a short book. It was a very short audiobook. Now, I do listen to my audiobooks on 1.8 speed, so it does make them faster. How many pages is it? Yeah, 258 pages. So it is a smaller book. So it's like things were happening super, super fast. And just the ending came out of left field. Like, you didn't really... I didn't really get to feel Christine and Raphael's love blossom or anything like that. That just kind of took root and it just happened. And then you've got Christine's conflict with her liking the Phantom of the Opera. She thinks for, oh my goodness, my eyes, sorry, her angel of music, while she also has feelings for Raphael. And then and they're like running around, and she's like, I have to keep like performing or the ghost will, like the Phantom will get mad, so I have to keep performing, but I love you, but I have to keep going back to him. But like all this was happening extremely fast. It was just like boom, 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 boom. End conflict, which was insane. The conflict in this book was so cool, okay? The freaking Phantom was so dope. He's like, I'm gonna give a little spoiler because this is a classic. This one's gonna get a little bit of a spoiler, okay? So, oh my goodness. So, when Christina gets kidnapped, or Christine, Raphael and this like Persian dude go to rescue her, and they get, like, they hide, like they find her, but then they go hide when the Phantom's coming back, and they're hiding in a room, and the Phantom's like, ha 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 ha, I know there's people in there and they're trapped forever now. And he turns on the lights and they look like they're in a desert. There's like forests, and then on the other side of the forest is like a desert, and it's super hot, and they have to find like a trapped compartment because apparently he's done this before. The Persian's like, no, I got this, don't worry, he used to do this too in like Persia or whatever, like in the other country that he came from. He's like, I know his MO. This is something he's done before. We just gotta find the trap door. And I was like, what? So these men almost died trying to get out of this, like, trap. It was so cool. And then they get out and they go hunt him down. And it ends the same way that the film does, where you don't know if the Phantom, like, the Phantom did somehow survive, and yeah, it ended the same way that the film did. But I thought that was so cool, that trap and the contraption, and he like was talking outside the room, but he had a contraption set up so he would echo throughout the room. That was so awesome. I was flabbergasted. I was like, the film would never. So that was super fun. But overall, it was very, very quick, and not like a lot happened in such a short period of time that it wasn't very fun. So I did give it a 3. I mean, if you're a really big fan of the film, go for it. It's the source material for it. But just know it's gonna be such a different experience than the film was. Very much so. Anyways, back on track. We had When She Returned. Boom. Put her over there. She got a 5-star. This was so fun. It's a thriller. So again, I'm not going to spoil this one because it's a newer thriller. And it's got cults, people. What more could you want? It's got cults in it. I think cults are fascinating. Not in a good way. Cults are not good. But it was, wow. It was a lot. It's about a family who, the mom, like, it's a dad and a daughter, and their mom disappeared like 8 years ago, and he met somebody else, he got remarried, and then she comes back. And so essentially every few chapters like you're in the present day with the family adjusting to the mom being back in the picture, and then you'll flash back to right before the mom disappeared, and you're like kind of simultaneously like watching the family reintegrate with mom while also, if you're blurring, I'm gonna get mad. Anyways, I'm gonna have to check this out. Oh my stars. Anyway, but then you're also seeing the mom talk about how she like came to be in this cult and what happened to her while she was gone all this time. And then the ending, in my opinion, was predictable. I did predict it, but it didn't mean it wasn't any less enjoyable. Because sometimes when you can predict the end of a book or a thriller or anything, it's like, oh, like I already knew that was coming. But like this is one where I knew it was coming and I still liked it because I wanted it to end this way. And so I was like, ooh. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. Again, that was an audiobook I listened at work. And then I also read Silenced Echo by Thurston Triplett. Boom. Over there. I gave it a 4-star. That book is written by my friend's husband. So check it out, guys, if you're a thriller person. It was super awesome. I really liked it. It is an intro to a series, so it does kind of bog down with story and plot setup, especially in the beginning. But I really like our main character, our main guy. I'm really bad with remembering names. But we have our detective, and then we have a reporter whose friend who had died is tied into the case he's currently working on, and they're trying to find, I believe, a serial killer. So yeah, they are working together. She's coming from, a personal and a reporter standpoint, and he's coming from a detective standpoint, and they go and they try to solve this mystery, and there's also a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of romance between the two of them, so I like to see that brewing. But that ending is where it's at. I want to read the next one just because I want to see where it's gonna go from here. I loved the ending, so check it out, guys, so you can read it for yourself and you can see this super awesome ending that just makes you want to read all the books in one go. But they're not out yet, so definitely go check it out. Next, I do have a physical copy for this one. Woo! God of Malice, by Rena Kent, the Legacy of God series, book 1. Miss Larry on YouTube, she recommended this to me. Well, not specifically to me, but she recommended this book, and I was like, yeah. So I read some of the books in this series. I definitely wanted to read more than I got to this month, but that is okay because there's always another month. Not next month, but that's another day's issue. But yeah, so now I've got a physical copy of this book. You're gonna keep seeing me stare at my phone, people. Sorry, not sorry. Boom. There it goes. Put a rating for it. I gave her a 5-star. Now this book does, like most books in a series, it's kind of your warm-up book, your startup. So the other books in the series, at least I've only ever read the second one, so this is my prediction for the rest of them, is each one's going to get more and more in depth, more and more intense, and it's going to expand on itself. But this first book is just your startup. So you have, again, like I said, names. So we have our main girl, is her name Glendon? Is it Glendon? Because I feel like I remember, yeah, Glendon, because I kept wanting to call her Glinda because I am obsessed with Wicked right now. Who isn't? With the movie coming, who's not? But we have Glendon. She is a girl going to school, and she is part of like British elite rich. And she falls in love with Killian, who is like mafia from the opposite rival college of hers, and he's a psychopath. He don't feel emotions at all. But Glendon has a brother who is just like him, so she's like, don't worry, I know I get it, I understand how you feel and how you come across situations, and is able to give him like a safe space pretty much where he can just be himself because she already kind of knows how to handle that kind of behavior. And it's just them him essentially chasing her and her kind of denying her feelings for him for a very long time. And it's like a cat and mouse game where they're just chasing each other around. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought their romance was cute. It was definitely dark in dark places and not in others. My only complaint, which it wasn't enough to knock it a star, but it is a complaint, was the conflict at the end felt so, like, I was excited for it, and then it was so short. There we go. It just didn't, nothing really happened with it. Like, the main conflict man came into play, and then Killian just, like, squashed it. We're done. I was like, oh, her butt gets beat up one time, and that's just the end of the conflict? Like, I'm sorry, I wish there was a little bit more to that. Which, of course, book 2 did so much better with that, but we'll talk about book 2 in a second. So, yeah, I was just like, oh, I wish that conflict had lasted a little bit longer than it did, but I still really enjoyed their chemistry. I still really enjoyed their romance. And, yeah, so I definitely highly recommend that book. Gave it a 5. Next is the second book. I don't have it, so boom, it's over there. I gave it I also gave it a 5-star. Look at me go. Look at me go giving 5 stars. If you can't tell, I don't even know if I've ever explained how my rating system goes, so I'll talk about that probably later. Later in the video, I'll give like a bulletin point breakdown of what the different stars mean. I'm easy to please. We'll start with that. I'm easy to please. But yeah, book 2 was about Creighton and Annika. I think it's Annika because I think they called her Annie. But again, I didn't hear it. I believe I called her Annika. It could be Annika. But they are also from rivals. Annika is from the mafia side, and Creighton is from the rich British side. He's the cousin of Glyndon from the first book. And Annika, this is a grumpy sunshine, so Annika is the sunshine, rainbows, life's happiness, always smiling, always dancing, always talking. And Creighton, like, very rarely talks at all, and he's just kind of grump all the time. But he starts to warm up for Annika, but once they finally hit happiness, you find out that Annika's family was part of the reason why Creighton's family, something happened to his family. I'm trying not to spoil here, people. Essentially, her family had something to do with a traumatic past for Creighton. But yeah, so that is their big rift, their conflict, and them having to deal with it. And I think the way Creighton handled it was very interesting. In this one, I feel like their conflict lasted a little too long, and just a little bit, because they did have a lot to unpack and they had a lot of problems together. But I think that conflict could have been shortened slightly. It did drag on quite a bit where I was like, okay, we're still doing this. But again, like the first book, it wasn't enough to knock it a star, because it still did its purpose and it was still really good overall, and I liked their chemistry. And yeah, so that was a 5-star. Then we had another Kindle book. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, I think I took like a week or so break from listening to audiobooks and just listened to the Wicked soundtrack like over and over again. So we have a tiny break from audiobooks, but they'll come back, I promise. Boom, over there we have Little Stranger by Leah Rivers. I gave it a 4-star. This book is a lot. It's a dark romance. It was in my dark romances for a week video, and I'm gonna tell you what, she intense. Which is not a problem for me. I'm a girl who grew up on Wattpad fanfic and AO3. Okay, I know my way around the town. But this book is about foster siblings who they each came from separate abusive households, and the boy who is older, what are names right now? What are their names? Hold on, I want to know them. Let's bring them back. I can tell you plots, guys, but names sometimes are really hard. Okay, so the guy's Malachi and the girl's Olivia. So Malachi is older than Olivia by like a year or two. And ever since they were kids, he's been like infatuated with her. He doesn't speak. He's mute because of his past. And there's a second book. We find out about it in the second book. I don't remember finding out about it in the first book, but maybe I just didn't see it. But he doesn't talk, but he's always been fascinated and like obsessed with Olivia, and he kind of like considers her his. So as they grew up, he got very possessive of her, and they started like doing romantic couple-y touchy stuff with each other. And she, on the other hand, is super confused because she's like, technically you're not blood brother, but you were raised as my brother since I was like 3 or 4. So she's like, this is really weird. Was she like 6? Anyway, so she was really, really little. She's like, so this is like really weird for me because you're supposed to be my brother, but like I have these romantic feelings for you. So that was her main conflict. But Malachi is a lot. He literally, I can't spoil it. He gets intense, and then they get separated for a while because he gets really violent, does something very, very bad to their father, their foster father, stepfather, or adoptive father. And then when he finds her like a year or 2 later, it gets even more intense, you guys. I bet that's gonna pick up on the camera. And there's literally nothing I can do about it. It's the AC unit. The outdoor AC unit. Anyways. Okay. So that is a lot. But the reason this lost a star was actually not the intensity of the book. This is a taboo also. You didn't figure that out. It was the fact that the mom pimps out Olivia. Pimps her out. And that's not even an exaggeration. She sold her daughter's virginity to another boy. Like, the mom is like, sets her up with 2 different boys, and she wants her to marry one of them, and she sells her virginity to one of those boys. And she, like, after that, she literally makes her daughter Olivia sleep with them. Just go out and just be with them. Make them happy. And that bugged me. That bugged me. That just was a little too, like, that is my line. that out of the whole book, that's what bothered me so much, was that. And I just couldn't stand it. So yeah, that lost a star for that purpose. Then we have, this video is gonna be kind of long. I read so many books. Anyways, I'm almost at the end, I swear. Next is Ken Porsche. Ken Porsche. If you watched I think it was reading my TBR for a week video, you heard me talk about Ken Porsche. I love this book. I love this book. Volume 1, I believe there's only 2. Thailand Boy Love Between a Bodyguard and a Mafia Son. Go watch that video if you want to hear me rant about it, because it was amazing. 5 stars. I'll put that beauty over there with its 5 stars. It is, bless. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Then I read Apprentice to the Villain. Boom. I gave it a 4 star. I mean, if you want to hear it in depth, again, you can go over to reading my TBR for a week. If you like the first book, you like the second book. The villain and Evie's banter is still the same. It's still really funny. It's still really cute. But the slow burn burned too slow. We're still burning. And we got some more relationship steps. But okay. Alright, my camera got mad because I guess I have a setting where it is, it only records for some reason for 30 minutes. And it cut me off. And I also had it still set to the no flash and not manual because I took my thumbnail photo before this recording. So the lighting is slightly different as well. I hope that's the only difference is the lighting, but we'll find out, I guess, in editing. Anyways, yeah, Apprentice to the Villain. If you want to check it out, go over there and check it out. Reading my TBR video for a week. Then I listened to Little Women. Over there. 4 stars. It was 4 stars. It was very interesting. I'd never seen anything for it, and I never read it either. So this was my first time really consuming anything for Little Women. But I thought it was very interesting, just talking about each of the girls and how each of them had different things they wanted in life and life goals and things that made them happy, and how even as adults they still like look to their mom for help and for guidance and learning to grow, essentially. And I thought that was really nice. Just seeing different ways that girls can be different from each other. Like, one of them wanted to get married and had kids, but then she was having a hard time like balancing like her relationship and her home life, and then she, you know, talked to her mom, and her mom gave her some pointers and some tips, and then it got better. And then like you have Joe, who just wants to like write and be like a free woman who makes her own income and just goes around and be's free. And then you had one who got sick and had to deal with her limitations of being sick and a lot weaker than the others and can't really do as much anymore. And so just I thought it was a good one. I think I would recommend it. Then I had another audiobook, Crossroads. I'm gonna have so much fun looking for all these photos. Haven River Ranch, number 1. I gave it a 4-star. It was about a girl named India who when her dad had cancer, and so his favorite place to go was to this like river ranch in Montana. And they would go like every summer when she was a kid, and she met and fell in love with the son of the owner of the ranch's kid. And so you keep getting flashbacks to when they were younger, of them like getting feelings for each other and falling in love, and how like they just barely missed each other. Like she was finally going to move to Montana and live with him and like be together when they were like adults. But then she shows up and he's engaged. So then she just like kind of leaves. But then the next time she shows up, she thought he got married. So she got married, and she found out that engagement fell through and he never actually got married. But now they've lost their chance because she's married. And so like it just kind of kept happening. But then they come back together as like older adults in their 30s. And she bought his family's ranch because it was failing, and she bought it to pick it back up and rebuild it. But she's divorced and he's not married, and they kind of rekindle that flame, and it was really cute. It was really nice. So I would definitely recommend that if you like it's very straightforward. It's very much a spicy romance. So if you like spicy romances and you like cowboys, and you like ranches in Montana, pick it up, give it a whirl. Oh, this lighting is so much different. I don't understand. I really hope that is the only difference between that and this, was the lighting. Because if not, well, the first 30 minutes of this video is going to be so much different from the back half of this video. Anyways, then another book. I have the physical of it. Oh, why did I do that earlier? I have this book. Leaned over for me to make editing Kayla's life 10 times harder later when I've owned it. Anyways, I have Tangled Up in You with Christina and Lauren, which I have now found out since I started reading this. This is written by 2 women. Yeah, Christina Lauren is the combined pen name of longtime writing partners and best friends Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings. So it's 2 girls who wrote this. One's name's Christina and one's Lauren. How fun is that? Anyways, I gave this a 5-star. This is amazing. If you are a fan of Disney princess like movies and stories, and you want to read them in a modern day setting, check this out. I'm 100% going to be inquiring into the other books. They have 3 more. If the Shoe Fits, which I'm assuming is Cinderella, Buy the Book, which I'm assuming is Beauty and the Beast, and Kiss the Girl, which is The Little Mermaid. I 100% will be indulging in those because this was so fun. This was Tangled, if you obviously can't pick it up. We have Rin, Rapunzel, and we have Fitz, Flynn. And she lives on a farm in the middle of nowhere for her whole life, and then finally is able to convince her parents to go to college where she meets Fitz. And Fitz teaches her how to fit into the modern world. And of course, it's a Rapunzel retelling, so are her parents? Absolutely not. But you need to read it so that you can find out how she finds out that they're not her parents and what happens to that. Because I'm not going to spoil that for you, because you should be reading this. 5 stars. 5 stars, people. You should be picking that up, and you should be inquiring about it, and you should be reading it. And then we have our final book of the month. Oh, a novel love story by Ashley Poston. When I went into this book, I went in neutral, but I had heard mixed things about it. I'd heard some good and I'd heard some bad, because some people said that this book was amazing, it was really good, and other people said it fell flat. Now, the reason people were saying it fell flat was because this is about a book called Elsie. A book, oh my gosh, a girl named Elsie who is going to go on a book club retreat, but she was going to go by herself because nobody else in her book club could go this year, which life happens, I get it. And she gets sidetracked. It ends up in a town, but not just any town, the town of her favorite book series come to life, and she stumbles in it. But she meets someone there that she thinks belongs in the town, but he's a little too weird to fit in the town. He doesn't quite fit, if that makes sense. And yeah, so this is supposed to be one where she ends up inside a book, and I heard that fell flat for some people because it didn't quite scratch that itch, in my opinion. So originally when I heard that, I thought this was going to be like a Lost in Austin scenario, if anybody's ever heard of that. It's about a girl who winds up inside of the book of Pride and Prejudice, and she goes, it's like a British miniseries. And so she's literally going through the plot of Pride and Prejudice and falls in love with Darcy, and she does end up with Darcy. So essentially her and Elizabeth swap. So Elizabeth comes out and lives in the modern time, and she goes into Pride and Prejudice's world and lives through the book. So that's what I thought. She was going to stumble into this book town and go through the book. But that's actually not what happens. She enters the town right after the final book, because the author of the book series passed before she finished it. There was one more book left. And that's where this town is stuck. Is right at the, or where she thinks is right at the end of the final book. I won't spoil it, so I won't tell you anything else. But essentially, the book is about a girl, Elsie, who feels stuck herself in her own life. She had a really bad breakup with a longtime partner that she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with, and her whole life after he left froze. And this town that's located in her comfort book series, not even just her favorite book series, her comfort book series. Like, most people have a comfort thing. Like, my comfort thing is Doctor Who, the show. I will go to Doctor Who for comfort. This book series was her comfort. And so this town, she used it and its characters when she was having a rough time to get her through them. And so now, current her decided to take this resort by herself because she's like, I'm stuck and I just can't keep staying in my life. I need to get out of my zone. And she ends up in this town, and she's talking to the characters and working through the problems that they're having, and all of these problems that they're having, she's having in her own life. And it's like, essentially she's working how to unstuck herself in her own head, manifested out in front of her. And it's so interesting. And I loved it. By the end, I was like, wow, this was amazing, because this book, it's a romance, but it's primarily about a girl's journey to get unstuck. Like, sometimes you just get stuck in life and you don't really know how to move on. And, like, maybe something bad happened, or maybe multiple bad things happen, and you really just don't quite know how to get out of a groove, and you're just so unhappy. And she was able to use her comfort character and her comfort world to interact with essentially her inner self to unstick those issues that she had. And so when she finally left the town, she left the town happy, and she changed jobs and reconnected with friends and did all of these things to progress herself as a person. And then her romance came back around and was like, boom, boom, I'm here, but I'm here because I'm a better person now for myself, and you're a better person for yourself, and now we can give each other the best of ourselves. Oh, it was amazing. At least that's what I got out of it, which is a lot. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. I think I already put it up, but we'll do it again. 5 stars. Oh, wow. So that was my month, guys. That was a lot. That was my month. Ooh, this video is gonna be long and it's gonna be so much fun to edit. But I hope, if anything, you guys watching got some new recommendations that you could take away from this and read on your own and have some awesome fun book journeys. And yeah, so when you guys are seeing this, the following day should be my November TBR. So stick around to watch what I'm going to be reading next month. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in my library again soon. Please subscribe. Bye!